Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Funfold Friday. I'm so excited to be back and joining you on this pretty, I guess we could say, late Friday, August Friday. I've been back from Florida for about 4 days now, so I'm excited to get back in the swing of things. Thank you for being so patient with me this summer. My dad really needed me. He was going through his end of life and just needed his girls there. So I was very fortunate to be with him when he passed. And so thank you for your patience this summer while I have been in Florida and unable to do my Funfold Fridays. Well, tonight I have a really fun fold for you. So let me just get on my computer so I can make sure you're seeing this as well as I think you should. Oh, yes, I do. Perfect. So I'm going to be making this card tonight. And I have to say, and I've said this before on cards that I have a belly band on, I love making cards with belly bands because it just makes me think about when you get the card, you have to open it up like a present. So I just love doing this. So this card does have a belly band. It uses the Soft Seedlings Stamp Set. There is not a set of dies with this. This is just a stamp set. It's from the current July to December mini catalog. It is one of my favorite types of stamps. It's the distinctive ink. So when you the distinctive type of stamp, it is a cling stamp set. So when you stamp your images, you get this beautiful variegation of color so that it actually looks more real than if everything just stamped evenly. And I'll be showing you how that works. So, and I'll be showing you some samples that I have made and have received from this set as well. So this is a set that you can purchase right now. So let's take a look at the card. So I'm going to start by taking off the belly band. And what I am going to focus on, we only have about 11 or so days left of Celebration, and I have not been able to promote it to you much this summer because I've been gone. But tonight I'm going to focus on the Rings of Love Designer Series paper, which is a free gift with a $50 purchase. And I'm going to show you also some samples made with this paper. I am using the gorgeous, I love this print. This is probably my favorite sheet of paper in the packet. But this sheet of paper has these beautiful birds on it and branches and some leaves. So when you open this up, you get this fun fold inside where I'm using actually the other side of this designer series paper. And you'll notice that the other pattern, the pattern from the front, is also on the inside of the card. When I stand the card, you can see that we have our two, the front and the back are not connected, but they are held together by this middle panel in the center of the card. I know that's kind of dark on, it looks like it's kind of dark. I'm trying to, let me see if I can change my light a little bit to make that not be as dark. But you can see that it makes that V or that mountain fold in the middle. Now, I made this card with a base of thick, basic white cardstock. But after I made this and realized how heavy this piece is, because it has the designer series paper, Night of Navy paper, the basic white, and then more Night of Navy and more designer series paper, I have found this is a pretty heavy duty card. So if you wanted to use just the regular weight of basic white, you could get away with it in this card. This card is also a little larger than the average card. So it measures 4.5 by 6 1/4. So you would either have to make your own envelope for this card or purchase a larger envelope, and you can get those larger envelopes at Staples. So here is this. So let me just set this aside and let me go over what we're going to be using today. So as I said, we're going to be using the Soft Seedling Stamp Set. We are also going to be using the classic matte dots, and I'm going to be using the white ones. We're going to be using Pear Pizzazz and Night of Navy ink, and they are really my favorite inks. You're going to need some basic white cardstock. You're going to want to die cut one of the layering circles. We're also going to be using this really nice decorative circle punch that is found in the current annual catalog. And you're going to need to punch 2 of those. You're going to need some scraps of basic white cardstock to stamp your greetings, and you're going to need enough of basic white cardstock to stamp 4 of the leaves and seeds. So you'll see that in just a minute. You are also going to need designer series paper of your choice. This is, and it took 1 whole piece of 12 by 12 designer series paper. And you can see I've used the same piece. It's the same pattern, just I'm using the 2 different sides. So the first designer series paper layer is 4 1/4 by 5 7/8. And you're going to need 4 of those. Then you're going to take the designer series paper that's left, and you're going to cut 4 pieces at 3 3/4 by 2 3/4. And you want this designer series paper to match or coordinate with the larger piece you're using. Then I cut some Night of Navy cardstock. I need 4 pieces of this at 4 1/4 by 6. And then, as I said, I used basic white thick for this card today, but you could just use the basic white. And you need 2 pieces at 4 1/2 by 6 1/4. You need a piece of the Night of Navy that's 2 inches by 12 to make the belly band. And then to make the inside panel, you're going to need a piece of 12 by 4, in this case Night of Navy. You want it to coordinate with your designer series paper, and you want to score this at 3, 6, and 9. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is take my bone folder, and I am just going to fold this designer series paper. The middle fold is going to be that mountain fold, so you want to think about that as you're folding it. So it's going to look like that, and it's going to go between our pieces, our front and back cover. On the inside of these, I'm going to add all 4 panels of the designer series paper. And I'm just going to grab a refill because I know I'm going to run out of adhesive tonight. So let me just put that out on the table. So I'm going to take my Stampin' Seal. And I'm just going to be adding this centered on all 4 of the inside panels. I love the greens and the blues in this and how it coordinates with both the Pear Pizzazz ink that I'm going to be using tonight and the Night of Navy. It also coordinates with the soft sea foam, so if you wanted to go with something a little softer, you could. Okay, so our middle panel is all set to go. I'm just going to set that aside. And now what I'm going to do is start attaching my designer series paper to my Night of Navy paper and then to my basic white paper. This is one of those pieces of designer series paper that I would buy an entire package of. I just love these birds, and I love the back of the paper as well. They just coordinate so nicely. And the fact that this paper is free with a $50 order even makes it nicer. You're going to see in the next week or so, I'm going to be posting on my Facebook page my first class to go, and it's going to use this paper and some other celebration products. So if you didn't get a chance to get these items, you'll be able to get it as part of my class to go, and you'll get to make some really pretty cards with it. Okay, this is my last piece of designer series paper. So there we go. And now I'm going to just start putting the designer series paper and the Night of Navy cardstock, and it's just going to go on my basic white cardstock. And I'm just going to center that, and then I'm going to put another one on the back side. So like I said, this card, you could get away with just using the regular weight of basic white because you're putting, you know, 2 pieces of designer series paper and 2 pieces of Night of Navy cardstock. So it's going to make this panel really, really heavy duty. I'm not going to have to worry about it. This card, because of its size, being a little bit larger, and because of the weight of the card with all this cardstock, this card will cost a little bit more to mail. So I wouldn't just put a stamp on it and pop it in the mail. I would definitely go to the post office and get it weighed. So that way, whoever you're sending it to will receive it. So let's put this last piece on. All right, so now we've got our inside panel and we have our outside. So I'm just going to make a quick decision about what I want to be the front of my card and the back of my card. So I've got that here. And then what I'm going to be doing is placing this right inside the 2 panels. I'm going to add a little bit more adhesive to this because it is the hinge part of the card. So I'm going to center this right in the middle. And then this is going to be attached right on the top. So again, I'm going to add just a little bit extra adhesive so that it's going to hold nicely in place. So what I can do, I'm actually going to put this on so it will be right where I want it to be. Make sure it's going to close nicely. There we go. And look at that. So our card is now put together the way it needs to be, and all we need to do now is make the belly band and decorate it. So let's start by stamping the images that we need to have stamped. So I am going to start by stamping this leaf stamp in Pear Pizzazz. So this leaf, as I said before, is distinctive ink. It does have some, it's a maple leaf and it has some maple seeds on it. So I'm just putting on that Pear Pizzazz ink, and I'm just going to stamp it in the center of this paper. And you can see the beautiful image that comes out, and that is because this is a distinctive stamp, and the distinctive stamp takes the ink, and it it has different levels of different depths of the image, and allows you to get this beautiful ink finish for the image. So what we need to do is stamp 4 of these. We need to cut out the 4 leaves, the 4 maple leaves, and we're going to need to cut out a total of 4, I believe, of the seeds. So I'm going to set this aside because I have already cut my leaves. I didn't think you needed to see me do that. And I've cut my maple seeds out as well. So I am going to start, let me just move this stamp out of the way. I'm going to start by taking my leaves, and I'm going to go in opposite corners. So I just want to push this up so you can see it pretty clearly. So what I want to do is put 1 leaf here, and then another leaf coming down like this. So they're kind of pointed at each other from opposite ends of the card. And I'm just going to add some adhesive and attach that to the inside of the card. There we go. Beautiful. And then I'm going to take these 2 circles, these decorative circles, and I'm going to have one going in the upward direction and the other going in the downward direction. And I want one of them, so let me just move this out of the way so I can do some stamping. I want one of these to say, so grateful. That's going to be my first one. So a little hint of something I do. I just want to point out a couple of hints tonight for this card. I always stamp my greeting on my paper and try to get it as straight as I can to see, do I need to make any adjustments when I stamp this on my paper. So I am going to stamp that in the middle. So I have my so grateful. And then this one is going to say, for you. The other thing I want to point out with this card, I did not do this, but I wish I had thought of it before I cut everything out. I would have cut this and these 2 out of my white panels because they are totally covered up. So I could have cut on one of these my circle here, my decorative circle, and then on the other one I could have punched out these 2 decorative circles, and you wouldn't have known it opening up the card, because I would have covered it up with the other cardstock. So just something to think about. When you're covering up something that you're using, you can easily just punch or die cut what you need. So I'm going to take the hello. The hello is going to go on the front of my card. And I am just going to stamp that here. I had already stamped it earlier, so I knew exactly how it was stamping. And for this one, what I want to do is just grab some scissors here. I am going to want this to have a little bit of space here, and I'll show you why when I'm ready to put it together. And then I am going to want to have a little banner on this side. So when I make my banners, and I have punches that I could do this with, but it just is so fast to just snip right into the center and then go off to the side, and I get my little flag. Okay, everything is now stamped. So the next thing I'm going to do is now put the rest of my stamped images in the center of my card, and I'm going to be adding some seeds. So I'm going to start with my So Grateful is going to be up here. I'm just going to add some Stampin' Seal and put that here at the top. And then I'm going to put For You down here at the bottom. All right, and now I just need to add some maple seeds. I used to love these as a kid. So I am going to just use glue dots to do this, and I just add the glue dot to the back of the seeds. And then I'm just going to take these off, and I'm just going to put them let me just put that inner quarter back in so I don't lose all my glue dots, or I'll do that afterwards, I guess. So I'm just going to kind of have them falling on top of each other, and then I'll have these be more to the top. There we go. So now the inside of my card is all done, ready to go. Okay, to make my belly band, I am going to, what I want to do is have this fold across and this part be covered by this part here. So I want this to be even. Perfect. And I don't want it to be so tight. I want it to be able to slide on and off. So I am going to take and add some of my Stampin' Seal. And I want these two pieces to attach evenly. There we go. And you can see my belly band can move up and down. Okay, to get this all decorated, everything's ready to go. This is going to go right in the center. And if I do this right, it's going to cover most of that seam. But the seam is pretty hard to see. So I am going to actually put this, nope, I didn't put it on dimensionals. I'm just going to do some taping here in the middle, and I am out of tape now, so let me just change this for you, for me. I just make sure before I change it that there's no adhesive built up on the edge. Sometimes there usually is on one. I usually find it on one side. So I take that adhesive off and get rid of it. Then I just need to open this up and put it in and put my cover back. And then it's ready to use again. So I'm just putting my adhesive on the center part of this layering circles die. And I'm going to put that right there in the middle. And then what I am going to do is start with my first leaf that I'm just going to add some adhesive to. And that is going to go here. On my second leaf, I am going to actually going to use, this one's almost out, so let me just use this one. Add some dimensionals to give this a little bit of height. And then this one is going to go right here. I'm going to take my little hello. I'm going to stick it, have it coming out from under the leaf. So there we go with the hello. I am going to add some of these matte dots. Coming right up here, I'm going to put 3 of the small white ones. And then my final part of the card is to just add a white bow, and I'm going to use the Baker's Twine Essential Pack, and I'm going to use the white. And then this fun fold card is done. I really enjoy it. I hope if you're tuning in tonight that you say hello and tell me where you're watching from. I would appreciate it if you share the video. That's one of the biggest things you can do to help my small business, is sharing my posts, and I do so appreciate that. Okay, let's just trim all of this. And we will add a glue dot to it. And add that right here. And that is our fun fold card for tonight. So remember, you just take the belly band off and you open it up. You have this great panel. It's going to stand like that. How cool is that? I love it. On the first one I made when I was making my sample and making the design, I actually didn't stamp anything on the inside. So I was trying to decide, am I going to use it as a card I'm sending a letter, or am I going to use it as a birthday card? I just wasn't sure what I wanted to use it for. So I have not stamped the inside yet. Okay, so let me put those aside. So these are the 2 fun fold cards. Let me start with the designer series paper and show you some cards that have been made with just the Rings of Love designer series paper. So here is the bird image again, and it has some of the foil papers it's using the Night of Navy as well. Really cute. And this is the envelope that goes with that one. This one is another fun fold, and it's using the woodland paper from it, and it's using the cute gnome dies from our gnome suite that's in the catalog. And you can see how it's a fun fold. So I'm going to have to look at that. Maybe that will be one I'll show you. Here's using that same paper that we used with some of the florals and just a little bit of stamping on the inside. This one has a lot of fussy cutting. This is a piece that has kind of some woodland things you'd find in the woodland. It's also using the tree paper, and then the sentiment is embossed in gold. This is one that I made using the tree dies. That was a celebration item, using the paper, and then using the soft sea foam and pool party cards and envelopes, which sold out really fast. So did the tree dies. This uses the paper and the amazing phrases celebration set, and I just cut out some of the medallions from this, softened it with a piece of vellum. This one here, I don't know if you can see it if I hold it up this way, I cut every single layer of the medallion off, and I've never used so many dimensionals in a card before. So every layer of the medallion that's on the paper is cut out separately, and then the next layer is attached to it using dimensionals, and then every layer before I attached it is was painted with the Wink of Stella, and it just shimmers and shines. I don't know if you can really tell that it's shimmering and shining, but it it's so pretty close up. And this one uses a retired ribbon that's the Evening Evergreen. And then, of course, don't forget to decorate your envelope. Now, for the soft seedling samples I have to show you. These I received, some of them I received in a swap. This one was embossed with white or clear embossing powder, and then sponged over to have it pop. This card was made by Fran Kennedy. Love this card. It is so beautiful. So these stems, it looks like they were stamped in the stem, and the seeds were stamped in crumb cake, and then the leaf was stamped in multiple colors. And then the Thinking of You. This card was made by Lisa Schultz. Love the fall look to that. The next three are cards I made. This one I stamped in the crushed curry, and then I just took a little bit of the Cajun craze in a sponge dauber and sponged around it to just give it a little bit of look of fall, and used the leaf falling embossing folder behind it. This one I used some of that metallic shimmer paper here. It's just so pretty, and of the pumpkin pie. So it's just a plain pumpkin pie base, the pumpkin pie metallic designer series paper, and pale papaya that's been embossed in the same embossing folder. And then the leaf, this one I stamped in pumpkin pie first, and then sponged some of the Cajun craze on it. And then I just used some of the metallic dots on the front. And then this final one, I used one of the embossing folders to make the background. I stamped one leaf in Old Olive and the other one in Pear Pizzazz. And then I used the Soft Seafoam cardstock and Soft Seafoam ink, and actually stamped this hello in the Mossy Meadow. So those are some just examples of how you can use the Rings of Love designer series paper and the Soft Seedling stamp set. Remember to be looking for in the next week a card class to go that will be using this designer series paper. I hope you liked tonight's Fun Fold, and I hope to see you back next Friday on Fun Fold Friday. Don't forget to drop me a hello in the comments and tell me where you're from, whether you're viewing the live or the taped version. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye-bye.